Hi, I'm Poulomi, a member of the Film Critics Guild, and we are here today with the nominees of our upcoming Critics' Choice Award 2024. The Film Critics Guild is the only registered body of film critics in India. We have 50 members across India who review films in different languages and across multiple platforms. And the Critics' Choice Awards, a distinctive partnership between the Film Critics Guild and Group M Motion Entertainment, in collaboration with Vistas Media Capital, is now in its sixth edition. And we are proud to recognize and honor the best of short films, feature films, and web series of the last year through these awards. Today, we have the short films and web series nominees roundtable. We have 6 nominees with us. I'll just do a quick intro of the nominees that we have here. We have Reema Maya, who directed the short film Nocturnal Burger, that's nominated for Best Film, Best Director, and Best Writing. We have Manish Saini, who directed the short film Giddh. He's nominated for Best Film, Best Director, Best Writing. From web series, we have Konkona Sen Sharma, who's nominated for Best Director and Best Writing for Love Stories 2, The Mirror. We have Barun Sobti, who's nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Kohrra. We have Rajshri Deshpande, who's nominated for Trial by Fire. Such a pleasure to have all of you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're all doing great. I want to first start off by asking all of you. I know there are directors, writers, and actors in this roundtable, so this is kind of like a common question that I want to ask. When you're working on a project, whether it's directing or acting in a show or a film, how long does it take you before you feel like you have a grasp on the material or the character you're playing? And was there a moment while shooting these respective projects that you're nominated for when you felt like you have cracked it?
So thank you. Firstly, it's lovely to be here. I'm a big admirer of all the other people who are here. I've yet to see Nocturnal Burger, but I've been hearing wonderful things, and I'm very happy and excited to be here. Um, I don't know that I ever really feel prepared, that I've got a grasp on things. I think especially when I'm acting. I feel that that's a very risky business, and you don't really, I mean, with me, I don't know how it's going to be. Um, Also because, you can't, at least with me, I can't ever plan a performance. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I haven't planned it. I just try to see how much I can inhabit the character and the world. When I'm directing, I think, which is of course much less often, then I feel I have a grasp, because I'm usually, I don't know, because I have so much, I guess, I've thought about all aspects of the project. I've spent so much time in prep or creating it, co-writing it and things. So then I feel like that world I really know everything about, and I want things a particular way. When I'm acting, not so much, and I really look to my director. And you never really know how it's working, because again, when you're acting, you're looking at only one aspect, and there are many other aspects which you have very little control over, and how the director and the other creators are going to add to the world and to your performance. Actually, like, you may be doing a great job, then there's terrible music, or the camera is far away, or like some weird things are happening. It doesn't all come together. So I feel, as an actor, I just never know, and I try to just follow what I've been told. But as a director, I feel a little more in control.
Was there a moment during while you were shooting The Mirror when you felt like you cracked it, like a particular scene that you shot, or how you perhaps staged a moment?
I don't think so much at the shoot level. I think a lot of the direction actually happens during the prep and the writing for me.
Hmm.
Because, on shoot, actually, I'm just trying to get through the day. I'm
Hmm.
just like, because it's all been prepped already, it's all been thought through. There's really no time to think at that time. Usually, both the films I've done have been kind of, with limited resources, with very little time. So it's always like, no, I just have to do now what I have planned. And of course, sometimes things are going wrong. So you're improvising a little, or you're trying to be a little flexible, or, adapt to the situation. But I don't think I've ever felt that I've cracked it on shoot. It's a rare thing.
What about you, Rima?
In terms of sort of, I mean, I completely agree with what Konkona said, that on the days of the shoot, it's too hectic. You don't have time to think. Especially when you're working on like an intense, independent shot, you don't even have time to review the shot. You just have to go by your gut when you're seeing the performance happen, and then you just move on. Um, for me, I think an interesting part of your question also was when like how long does it take for you to know you have a grasp of it? And from a writing and like direction perspective, I think my process is I let the story or the themes marinate in my head for as long as possible, and the moment I know it's ready to be put out in the world is the moment where I can't stop it from coming out, you know, like this is in my head 24/7, and I just really need to say it and put it out in the world. And I think that's an interesting process, because you can't really measure it in terms of, okay, I started writing on this day, because it actually started several months or several years before that. It just matures as you know, do multiple drafts of the screenplay, and then it matures a little bit more when you shoot, and it matures a little bit more in post. But it's never really done, or I always feel like, oh my God, this is the time where we messed up, you know, major imposter syndrome, all of that, and extreme anxiety till the premiere happens. And I think it's only once you hand the film over to your audience and you start seeing how they react to it and how they resonate, that you can just be like, okay, I think the process is complete now.
इट्स ऑलवेज अनकम्प्लीट. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि फिल्म कभी कंप्लीट हुई नहीं. इवन बनने के बाद भी जब आप देखते रहते हो आपको लगता है यार ये 3 फ्रेम तो निकल सकते थे यहाँ से, ये 3 फ्रेम कैसे रह गए. और शुरुआत कैसे होती है, जैसे मेरी इस शॉर्ट फिल्म के बारे में पर्टिकुलरली कहूँ तो, कि एक वन लाइनर दिमाग में आया, उसको आपने डेवलप किया, स्क्रिप्ट बन गई, स्क्रिप्ट को आपने एक्सपोर्ट कर लिया पीडीएफ में, आपको लगा ये चलो ये शूट करने के लिए रेडी है, इसका ब्रेकडाउन कर लेते हैं. फिल्म में संजय मिश्रा जी एक्ट कर रहे हैं और वो इतना अच्छा एक्ट कर जाते हैं कि लास्ट में मेरे को लगता है सर आई थिंक एंडिंग यहीं पे कर देते हैं. संजय सर बोलते हैं रात को 2 बजे शूट कर, हाँ मनीष आई थिंक एंडिंग यार यही अच्छा रहेगा, जो तूने लिखा है वो बेटर नहीं है. और आप इतने इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाते हो क्योंकि इतना अच्छा एक्टर आपको मिला है, लग्जरी आपको मिली है, तो आपको लगता है हाँ करेक्ट ये एंडिंग अच्छी है. अभी फिल्म एडिट भी मैंने की है, लेकिन जब मैं एडिट कर रहा हूँ तो मेरे को लगता है कि जो लिखा था वो भी अच्छा नहीं था, ये परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है, शायद एंड अच्छा नहीं है फिल्म का ये, तो एडिट में कुछ तीसरी चीज कर देता हूँ. तो तीनों पार्ट तीनों पार्ट अलग होते हैं. जब मैं मेरे प्रोड्यूसर से डिस्कस कर रहा था, प्रोड्यूसर को कई बार ये लगता है कि इसने जो लिखा था वो क्यों नहीं बनाया, ये क्यों बनाया. मैंने बोला एक बार आप देखो, मेरे पास वो भी है. एक्चुअली मेरे पास वो नहीं था क्योंकि मैंने शूट नहीं किया, मुझे कॉन्फिडेंस भी नहीं था. मैंने बोला एक बार आप देखो आपको कैसा लग रहा है. उन्होंने देखा और उन्होंने बोला हाँ आई थिंक दिस इज करेक्ट एंडिंग, दिस इज बेटर एंडिंग. में बच गए, चलो ठीक है. तो और फिर भी देखने के बाद भी आई एम ऑलवेज नर्वस कि ऑडियंस बैठी है कहीं पे, उनका ध्यान थोड़ा सा भी नीचे गया, फोन की तरफ गया, इधर गया, तो आपको हमेशा लगता है कि शायद ये सीन इस ऑडियंस के लिए नहीं बना है. तो ये प्रोसेस तो हमेशा ऐसा है कि आपको हार्ट बीट बढ़ाता रहता है, आपको परेशान करता रहता है. पर हाँ फाइनल वही है कि एक बार आप डीसीपी एक्सपोर्ट कर लेते हो और फिर आपको लगता है कि इसके बाद और पैसे लगेंगे, मतलब अभी आपको रुकना पड़ेगा और दूसरी फिल्म बनानी पड़ेगी.
That's lovely. What about you, Rajshri? Because you're also playing a character that's based on a real life person. So when you prepare for that, was there anything specifically that you prepared when you're playing a real life person, and when did you think like that you had a grasp on this character?
As Konkona just mentioned, you know, you have when you're into acting space, it is a collaborative area where you know, you have to see what your director, how your team and everything is kind of looking at that character. Even your hair, makeup and costume team have a certain visual in their head. You know, the director have a certain visual in their head. So like for the real character, of course, I played Ismat Chugtai also, and Savitri Bai Phule. Of course, we have not seen her, but and Neelam Krishnamurti. So first thing I saw was like, in what exactly the script is giving me. I've gone through the entire script. I've asked Prashant that you know, there is a book based on it, and what do you think? So he said, just keep the book aside. Just let's go and focus on the script. And for Neelam, there was hardly anything online. Like whatever we had, the material was all her court cases, some interviews, but we didn't know that how exactly she is. And Prashant, and we were shooting in the third wave of pandemic. So it was again a difficult space where I cannot talk to her or I cannot meet her to actually know her. So for me, it was a complete blank space with the material which was written by Prashant, which was based on the book. And what he brought on, he and Kevin, the co-writer, brought in that script was, which was not shown in the media, the life, the her emotional spaces, what exactly she must be doing when she go home, and which was written in her book. Because when she saw the show, she was also surprised that it was written in the book, that like the cake scene. So in the cake scene was basically it was just written like, we didn't know how to celebrate birthdays.
Hmm.
And that was just a line, and he developed a scene on that, that what must have happened when a cake arrived at home. And the whole scene was developed accordingly. And when she saw it, she felt so connected to it. And she said, "Ki, I've not written it." But she said, "I felt it. Just with that one line of yours, we felt that what exactly the emotional space must be." So for me, it was very important to go with the material, understand Neelam through mental, emotional, and psychological spaces. Of course, for me, it's even important that even I think in that way, that when this scene is happening, or any kind of a scene is happening, what she must be doing in the morning, what kind of a food she must have had, you know like so those things, I wanted that all those things on my face, because I feel that someone who's going through all these things, what kind of a food habit she must be having. Is she eating like a normal nice food? Does she go to the gym? Does she have a fit body? How she must have developed every day. So for me, the physical space was developed through that kind of a thing. Is she feeling good? So even her feeling, everyday feeling, was also a part of my performance. But like a lot of time it happens that when you're performing and when you're there, your environment also plays a bigger part. So sometimes, like my mom was in the hospital and I was very, very angry. And there was oxygen issue was happening, and we were shooting a court case scene, and I was so angry, and I was telling Prashant that I think now she's going to just blast. But Prashant was like, Prashant understood me, and he said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's do it the way you want, the way you're thinking, feeling. And he let me do the way it is, the way I was feeling it. And then he said, can we just flip it? Can we just go on a different direction? And I did the scene according to him also, and that worked. And I felt that ki, this is how it is, this is how the relationship is. Because when you come with a certain space, and when your director have a certain vision, and even the director understands you in a sensitive space, that okay, fine, let's talk it through it, the space also, the environment also, your feelings also, the character feelings also, the mood of that whole scene also, and then execute the scene. So for me, fortunately, a sensitive director like Prashant Nair took me to that journey of, okay, certain spaces, my inner feeling was utilized, was executed, and certain spaces I had that thing, okay, no, I'm not feeling this. No, this is not how it should be. Now, this is the time she's going to do this. And he said, okay, fine, let's just pull you back. Okay, fine, let's do it your way also. He didn't like kind of said, no, 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 it's wrong. And we didn't had that kind of argument on set. We had like, very sensible and sensitive approach towards every scene of ours. And not just me, but, everyone around me, every other, even the, uh, the person who's there just for one scene also has been explained why we are doing this, what we are doing this. So for me as an actor, I feel these kind of spaces is very important. And then you can develop the character, either with the script, or either with the the emotional spaces, that whatever the person, the character is going through, with everything. So you have to have not just a script, but an empathetic environment on set. Your co-actors should be aligned with all that. So then I think any character comes on becomes like, alive.
Okay, that's lovely too. Barun, what about you?
To be honest with you, I really don't get a grasp until even up till the time the show is done.
Hmm.
There's a fleeting feeling of every scene or two when all the people that are around you, because you get into a job thinking that these are like-minded people. Of course, everyone does, and you want their validation. That's why you're on the job. So a certain day you come and you bring in your own and you do something and someone really likes it. You think you've cracked it, but that's an illusion. You come in the next day, it's broken. So I think that up till even when the show is done, these days the good thing that we have is that the shows go on for a few seasons. You have more time to develop your character at the back of your head. You can have that fleeting character moving with you, not really paying attention to it. So I think the good thing is the contemporary actor is a thinking actor, but I really still don't think we anyone has the faculty to entirely understand the character before you get into it. Otherwise, you stop working on it, to be honest with you.
Was there a particular scene during Kohrra though when you thought that you did a great job?
Yeah, there was. It's not in the show. Yeah.
My next question is for Reema and Manish. Even with the expansion of streaming platforms that have obviously helped in the diversity of voices and the stories that we see these days in the last couple of years, short films still remain harder to access in terms of beyond the life cycle between beyond film festivals, which is also a very limited access of how many people get to see it. And when you are directing a short film, does the worry of how many people eventually will end up seeing it weigh on your mind as your process as a director, or is that process independent of that?
तो करेक्ट है। अभी इशू वही है, आप जो बनाते हैं, आप एक कहानी आप सुनाना चाहते हैं, आप चाहते हैं कि यार ये सब लोग देखें, सब ये कहानी सुने, बात सुने, इस बात को समझे, आपको भी लोग सुने, उन कैरेक्टर को भी इतने लोग, इतने एक्टर्स उसमें करते हैं, तो बिल्कुल सीधी बात है। और जब शॉर्ट फिल्म हम बनाते हैं तो कभी ये नहीं सोचा जाता कि ये थिएटरिकली रिलीज होगी, ओटीटी का भी कुछ पता नहीं रहता है, लेकिन ये अनसर्टेनिटी रहती है। और अभी स्ट्रगल ऐसा हो जाता है क्योंकि फेस्टिवल्स में भी लाइक बहुत लोग मुझे पूछते हैं कि गिद्ध कहाँ देख सकते हैं, तो ये अनसर्टेनिटी तो है। और इसका कोई, क्योंकि पर्सनली मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आप फोन पे, मोबाइल पे शॉर्ट फिल्म देखना बहुत आसान चीज है, क्योंकि आप 15 मिनट के लिए ट्रैवल कर रहे हो, कार में बैठे हो, तो एक पूरी फुल लेंथ फिल्म, फीचर लेंथ या वेब सीरीज की बजाय आप एक शॉर्ट फिल्म आराम से देख सकते हो। लेकिन मुझे एक लॉजिक समझ में नहीं आता कि एल्गोरिदम कैसे काम करता है और कैसे शॉर्ट फिल्म्स को स्पेसेस नहीं मिल रहा है। क्योंकि शॉर्ट फिल्म बहुत करेक्ट और बहुत प्योर मीडियम है अगर देखा जाए तो, क्योंकि एक छोटी सी बात है, एक छोटे से मोमेंट के अराउंड एक कहानी है, तो ये तो स्ट्रगल है। और आप देखेंगे ना, कुछ एक यूट्यूब के कुछ चैनल्स छोड़ के, मुझे पता नहीं अमेजोन मिनी का भी क्या सिचुएशन है क्या नहीं है, लेकिन मैं इतने शॉर्ट फिल्म मेकर से मिलता हूँ जिनकी फिल्मों ने अच्छे फेस्टिवल में पार्टिसिपेट किया है, जीते हैं, नेशनल अवार्ड भी मिले हैं, और वो स्ट्रगल करते रहते हैं कि इसको कैसे पुश करें, कैसे लोग देख सकते हैं, पैसा ना मिले चलेगा, पैसा पैसा छोड़ देते हैं, लेकिन ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचे, लोग जाने कि हमने ये फिल्म बनाई है और ये फिल्म अच्छी है। तो ये तो स्ट्रगल है, और हम भी मैं तो कर रहा हूँ अभी।
But when you were making this film, that thought, did that like come in the process of you deciding who is the cast or how am I shooting it or which film festival does it go to?
नहीं, मरते टाइम तो जनाजा किधर से निकलेगा ना, वो कोई नहीं सोचता। वो तो ये है कि वो तो इतना पैशन होता है, तब बनाना होता है, तब कास्ट का एग्जैक्टली ये बात सही है कि वो सोचा जाता है थोड़ा सा कि संजय सर को अप्रोच कर रहे हैं। जैसे मैं बताता हूँ, मैंने इससे पहले एक गुजराती फिल्म बनाई थी ढ नाम से, जिसमें नसरुद्दीन शाह सर थे, और उनका छोटा सा अपेरेंस था, शायद उस वजह से ही फिल्म एक अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म पे चली गई है, अच्छा एक्विजिशन हो गया। तो कई बार ये लालच रहता है, दूसरा बड़ा लालच रहता है कि अच्छा एक्टर उस किरदार को, ये तो दोनों मिक्स चीजें रहती है। मतलब मैं बेईमानी होगा अगर मैं ये बोलूं कि ऐसा नहीं होता, कि दोनों चीजें मिक्स है, कि अच्छा कैरेक्टर आपको विजिबिलिटी भी देता है और अच्छा कैरेक्टर उसको जस्टिफाई भी करता है, उस कहानी को उसको बोल भी पाता है, तो दोनों ही चीजें। लेकिन पता नहीं कि क्योंकि बड़े एक्टर को आप लेके आते हो, वो भी एक बड़ा स्ट्रगल है, वो भी क्योंकि शॉर्ट फिल्म के लिमिटेड बजट रहते हैं, लिमिटेड फ्रेम रहता है, उसके बाद जैसे ही वो एक्सपेंड होता है ना, फिर आपके कंट्रोल से चीजें बाहर होने लगती है। तो कई बार बड़े एक्टर्स आपको सपोर्ट कर देते हैं, नहीं दिस इज गुड स्टोरी, ये तो बोलनी चाहिए, 2-3 दिन की बात है, हाँ करेंगे ना, बनाएंगे, बिल्कुल बनाएंगे, वो करता है। लेकिन मुझे नहीं पता, शायद अभी जर्नी चल रही है, देखते हैं कैसे जाती है।
Reema, what about you?
So I made another short film called Counterfeit Kunku in 2018. So I've been just observing the short film market pretty much since then. It's been what, five years now. And it's been very interesting. Firstly, when it comes to consuming short form content, I find it very contradictory that, on one side, we are all, being pushed to make shorter and shorter content. I do a lot of advertising also. It's literally come down to, hey, max duration is 20 seconds. We're making 20-second ads right now. And it's only getting shorter. So clearly there is an appetite for like things getting shorter and shorter and shorter, even when it comes to episodes and series, right? You're being pushed from like hour-long episodes to 45 minutes to 30-minute episodes. And still that same sort of appetite doesn't seem to be extended to the short film industry. And I think there's a couple of reasons for it. I think one part is that the general perception really is that it's not a professional side of the film industry. It's really what students do to build their showreel, which I completely disagree with. I think it's a different canvas and it requires different skill sets to craft a story in a way that it fits within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of screen time. And in terms of distribution, so Europe has really sort of figured out their distribution model quite well. It really does exist as an industry there. So what my approach has been is, I mean, did I think about distribution when I was making the film? During Counterfeit Kunku, absolutely not. It was just a very personal, like, I need to make this film. And I just put together a small crew of family and friends and just made it without, having any idea of either the festival circuit or the distribution market. And then I think through doing Counterfeit Kunku, I started understanding a lot of things about festival strategy, about the hierarchy of the festival world. How do you then talk to distributors? How do you get sales agents? How do you negotiate minimum guarantees? What are the avenues available for short films, both internationally and in India? And I think there's a huge disparity when it comes to the Indian scene and the international scene. And it's very frustrating, not just when it comes to distribution channels, but also when it comes to film festivals. So like it's always in most of the festivals in India, especially in Bombay, because anywhere else I have to go, it costs money to travel to those festivals. It really frustrates me that Bombay doesn't have more avenues that celebrate short form video, so much so that I actually had to start a festival called Alp, which celebrates short form video in its various manifestations. And when I connected with more creators there, we started understanding that there is a huge need and there is a great audience for it. You just need the community to come together and start building the infrastructure. So slowly but surely we're doing that. And there was a very interesting thing there on a talk where a filmmaker friend called Devashish Makhija, he said that when you're doing an independent film, especially a short film, but also a feature, you cannot think of yourself as just a filmmaker. You have to think of yourself as a film entrepreneur. And I thought that was such a great way to look at it, because not only do you have to be ready to get the film made, make the film, and get it sent out to a festival, you have to then be ready for a 2-year journey with your film to make sure it's reaching the right channels. It's trying to recuperate some of the money, if not all, because that is also important, because that means that allows for sustainability. It allows you to make your next project. And of course, making sure it reaches as many audiences as possible. So does an industry exist? Absolutely. Does it exist so much in India? Not really. Is there scope for it? Yes. And the only way it'll happen is by legitimizing and validating the format, just like you're doing right now. So thank you.
That sounds beautiful. The next thing I want to ask all of you, from what I heard all of you saying, you all did prize the idea of collaboration when you're working on any project, and how that shapes whether your directorial voice or how you turn in a performance. I'm very curious to know, in the respective projects that you did last year, what is that one collaboration that you think enhanced your material, or like was instrumental in enhancing the material or your performance? It could be a co-actor, could be your director, or say a DOP, which was that one collaboration that you think really kind of helped you amplify your own, like what you had to bring into the project? Varun, we can start with you.
Mine definitely has to be my co-actor, to be honest with you. Of course, comes with the approval of the director and the creator. But there was just one scene that we were doing, because I have a habit of, when I work on my character, I work on my characters not projecting the whole time, like we human beings don't. So there was a scene that me and Suvinder sir shot. There was a scene that was not on the job. Both of these guys are drinking in the fields, and you don't really enunciate in a situation like this. You just want your partner who's sitting with you to understand. So I'm usually really taken for class by the sound designer, by the director. We can't hear you. The audience will not be able to hear you. So I was working with Suvinder sir. So we started the scene. I started off with my line and the way I speak, and his reply was. And we did the whole scene the way we did. And I was absolutely sure that Randeep's going to come yelling, screaming. Sudeep is going to be what's happening. And these guys came out. I was like, it was beautiful. And I was like, I'm with like-minded people. I don't know how the show is going to turn out, but I'm going to have a ball in this show. I think that's so. I think Suvinder sir for me.
You just have all these elements in your head, and then you have specialists in every department who are coming and fulfilling that with you. So it's so hugely collaborative. So I think definitely my DOP Anand Bansal, who because initially I had he's definitely one of them, very high up, along with my actors and my co-writer. Like, I mean, actually I'm feeling disloyal now thinking about all the others, because they've all added so much. So in the sense, like, Pooja Tolani, my co-writer, like, she got what the world I had in mind. And we actually had many conversations, and it was we were writing it kind of remotely, and then together. I was also traveling and working, but that was a great collaboration, and again, it's always such a risk, because you don't know. It's such an intimate experience, actually, especially with writing, because you bring a lot of yourself into the process, and so that worked out really well. I think Anand Bansal also, for me, it really helped, because again, that is an area where there is a lot of technical expertise also required. So understanding what we were trying to do in terms of themes, emotions, etc., and then translating that visually. That was a big, like, that really helped. Like, for example, one of the things was, what lenses we would use, what camera we would use, what is the aspect ratio we would use. So these kind of things, I felt like that was a very key collaboration. Also, because we were often shooting in a tiny apartment with a very specific geography, because of the way that things played out in that film, it had to, be a certain way. So that was quite a challenge as well. And of course, the actors. I had two wonderful, actresses who were able to bring that whole thing to life. So I mean, and now I'm feeling bad about, like, the others, my production designer and my costume person. So I can't, and my editor, who changed things like and made it amazing. So this is a very unfair question. I can't choose one collaboration like that. But as an actor, I would say it's my director. It's always my director as an actor.
कोंकणा ने बोला सही बात है कि किसी एक का नाम लेंगे तो पूरी ट्रेन है, कहीं पे भी एक लिंक निकलता है तो पूरी चेन निकल जाती है। पर सबसे ज्यादा मैं जिस पे डिपेंडेंट रहता हूँ, आई थिंक एक्टर एंड सिनेमेटोग्राफर, क्योंकि एक दिखने वाला और एक दिखाने वाला है, तो वो दोनों लोग ही है, तो उन दोनों को ही जो नैरेटिव है उन दोनों को ही ट्रांसलेट करना है सबसे ज्यादा। तो कई बार हम प्रोडक्शन डिजाइन से, हम एडिटिंग से मैनेज कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि कई बार मैं ज्यादा भरोसा नहीं करता हूँ, मुझे एडिट पे कुछ ये लगता है तो मैं खुद एफसीपी खोल के बैठ जाता हूँ कि यार एक बार मैं कट करके देखता हूँ। तो लेकिन ये दोनों चीजें हैं जो मैं नहीं कर सकता, तो सबसे पहले तो उनके आगे मैं सरेंडर कर देता हूँ कि क्योंकि एक्टिंग, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि आप कैमरा के पीछे आप रहो और कैमरा के आगे रहना वो कितनी मुश्किल चीज है। तो ये दोनों चीज है एक्टिंग, आई थिंक एक्टिंग एंड, क्योंकि सिनेमेटोग्राफर का जैसे आप देखें तो एक चीज नहीं है, आपको एक्टर भी फोकस करना है, आपको कंपोजिशन भी देखनी है क्या है, आपको लाइट भी देखनी है, आपको मूवमेंट भी कैप्चर करना है, तो बहुत सारी चीजें सेम विद एक्टर। तो आई थिंक दीस टू,
all the disclaimers that
Everyone responded.
and Manish have said. I think on the basis of how long they were involved in the project, and because of just how long standing our equation has been, I think two collaborations definitely not just helped make the film, but helped me survive the process, emotionally. One is, of course, Harshvi Robroi, who's my DOP. We've been working together for a very long time. He also shot Counterfeit Kunku with me. We went to Sundance together and experienced like the beginning of a new chapter of our lives and careers together. And we've been sort of close friends and creative collaborators for the better part of the last decade. And we've been through really difficult shooting conditions, very stressful situations. So we've evolved, I think, a unique visual language that is unique to when we work together. And we've also, I think, evolved a great emotional camaraderie where, there's a moment where one of his ACs went and asked him a question and then went and asked me the same question, and we said the same answer in the same words. And she's like, I knew it. There's some weird telepathy going on between you two. So it's always really beautiful to work with him. And the other person is my co-editor on this project, Rohan Kapoor, because on my previous projects and on a lot of like the more commission projects, you're always on a crazy timeline. So you never get enough time in post-production, right? You're just racing. And you're just like, okay, till the deadline happens, whatever you can do the best, you do that. With this one, I really wanted to savor the post process, especially the editing process. So we really took our time to do one cut and then rethink every single edit decision, redo it 2-3 different ways, and then go back to what we did instinctively. And he was with me in that process, just stuck in this tiny dark room day after day, week after week, trying to just craft and finesse this little short film. So I really appreciate that kind of passion and diligence towards the project.
As everyone mentioned, it's very difficult because, of course, it's a collaborative space. I have, director, of course, Prashant Nair was always with me. But, along with that, the closest one, of course, your co-actors also. But my DOP, Sumendra Sahi, wonderful person, and his team, my costume and makeup, Serena, who did my makeup and costume, Himani Dalvi's team, Monica, the production. I think these were the very closest people for me on set. Even Avni, the assistants of my director, they were very close to me, because the moment you are out from that, like, when there is a cut and then there was that little space, how these guys dealt with me, that's how I know that how I'm going to do the next scene. Like, I don't know if I can explain, because, that's the only time you have, like few seconds. And in that few seconds, who's coming, doing your touch up, how you're coming, like, acha ye karna hai, acha tumhara makeup, mic set karna hai, acha tumhara dress theek karna hai. But in all of that, I saw all these people, the costume, makeup, our Amla, who was handling the sound, even the light people. Nobody disturbed me. Nobody said, कि आप ये कर लो, अच्छा यहाँ से नहीं, यहाँ से आ जाएंगे, यहाँ से. They all came, and in case if there is anything, they all used to come, like, they all used to see me, how I am, what frame I'm in, and they used to ask me, like, can we do this in a very quiet, warm way? It's very rare. It's very rare. You won't believe it. It's so rare कि हमारे यहाँ पे ऐसे होता है, कि आप अगर आपका लाइन कुछ गड़बड़ हो रहा है ना, तो बहुत सारा होता है, डायरेक्टर से, लाइक, माइक पे होता है, अरे इट्स लाइन ठीक कर लो इनका. There are like 100 people around you and people are screaming and shouting, अरे लाइट लो यहाँ से लाओ, अच्छा इसका टच अप कर लो. You are in a space where you're going through something, and someone comes, अरे इसका टच अप कर लो, अरे शाइन करा चाहिए करो. There is a chaos happening. And in all of that chaos, you as an actor have to remember your line, remember there are 100 people, remember your co-actors, remember your steps, remember your light, everything, and perform. It's a very difficult space. So I feel I want to give credit to the people who understand that the actor is vulnerable. then be it even the spot boy also, be it, whoever over there, the credit to the whole team who's part of that space. Because if they don't, like if someone is performing or if someone is behind the camera and talking something, it changes. It makes different. We are not robots ki हाँ ठीक है चलो line कर लो फटाफट फटाफट, क्या problem है आपको, line मगअप करके, we are not तोता. अगर तोते जैसे बोलना होता तो फिर क्या रट के line बोल देते. But if you have to feel also, you have to feel the whole life of a person also, and remember what happened just before, what is going to happen. And because we don't shoot linear, तो अभी एक scene किया 10 साल बाद वाला scene next scene होगा शायद, so you have to be in all of that. So it's very important to, like, this credit goes to the team who's there, even the spot boy to the person who's chai wala, to your own spot, to someone else's spot, how they deal at that space. So, like director, of course, is there. But director is not the only one whom I'm going to see. I'm going to see all those people who's going to be there with me. So for me, that's very important.
That's so well put. My last question to all of you, I'm very curious to know, what is the one thing that you think you will take from working on this project to your next project? Like one experience or something you learned, a lesson, maybe a collaborator that you think you will take, or how it affected your process as an actor or a creator that you see yourself taking to the next projects that you will do?
आई थिंक ये मेरी पहली फिल्म थी जिसमें मैंने शायद सबसे कम डायलॉग लिखे हैं, और मतलब शायद पूरी फिल्म में 3 से 4 लाइनें ही हैं और कुछ लाइनें नहीं है. और मैं अभी जो नेक्स्ट स्क्रिप्ट लिख रहा हूँ दैट इज अ साइलेंट स्क्रिप्ट. पूरी फिल्म में कोई डायलॉग नहीं है, तो आई थिंक एंड दैट इज फीचर लेंथ. तो ये एक आप कुछ भी बनाते हो ना, हमेशा लाइक मैंने जो मैं एनआईडी करके एक इंस्टीट्यूट है उधर पढ़ा हुआ हूँ, तो वहाँ पे मेरा जो डिप्लोमा प्रोजेक्ट था, मेरा जो उसके बाद जो फीचर था वो उसका प्रोटोटाइप था, डिप्लोमा प्रोजेक्ट. ये भी शायद मेरे नेक्स्ट प्रोजेक्ट का एक प्रोटोटाइप है. और ये एक ऐसा अलग मूड था क्योंकि इससे पहले मैंने बहुत ऐसा इनोसेंस के साथ 2 फिल्में की जिस दोनों में बच्चे हैं, दोनों चाइल्डहुड चिल्ड्रन के बारे में, इनोसेंस के बारे में. ये फिल्म ऐसी थी जो थोड़ी रियलिटी के ज़्यादा पास और उसके बहुत करीब थी. तो मुझे भी थोड़ा ऐसा करना था कि चलो ठीक है, जॉनर ब्रेक करते हैं, चलो थोड़ा कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर निकलते हैं. तो आई थिंक ये प्रोजेक्ट वैसा ही है कि आप देख रहे हो कि नहीं, आप कहानी इस तरीके से भी कह सकते हो. आपको एक ही तरीके की कहानियां नहीं बोलनी है, एक ही तरीके की कहानियां नहीं आती आपको, दूसरी कहानियां भी आप बोल सकते हो.
Lovely. Barun, you?
Honestly, I kind of, my first thing that when I finish a project is to unlearn whatever I've learned on the project. I know one would think that why not add a skill to your skill set in case you want to carry it further forever to all of your future projects. But I honestly trust my faculty to learn the same thing again in case I'm so good on the next project if required. But I think unlearning for me is the major thing, because that so far that's been the way my career has been. I've done really different characters. So if I keep carrying on the same load, it's going to be really difficult for an actor like me. So just forget it.
It's again a difficult space because, as Barun said, we have to kind of unlearn what we have done. And every project, I know that I'm not going to get the same set of people, But of course, for me, it's very important to have empathy. I have to have that a space of, where I have to learn from wherever I am, and and give myself to whatever I'm getting into, because every time there'll be a new challenges, there'll be a different kind of questions. I'm not denying that there was no question with my previous project. There were some questions. Maybe in my next project there'll be some other kind of questions. But what I've always learned that how I deal with them in a very empathetic way, how I see myself and my team over there is very important. How in case, like, I feel that in case if there is anything, that how do I stand up for certain spaces is also important for me. So for me, the team is very important. So I make sure that whoever I'm working with, how they are, what do they think about things, how passionate they are, So for me, it is, or a lot of times people can surprise you also. But yeah, just a open slate and just try filling it with things.
I think because you were asking this question, and I was thinking back to Mirror, and a little bit, I also feel that with Death in the Guns, I think that this, like, two things, like, there is no one way of doing things. And this, I remember in Death in the Guns, little bit being unsure, ki, I want to do it like this, but is this allowed? Like, the people also doing this is okay to do. So this feeling was there a little bit more in Death in the Guns, like, is it okay and is this allowed kind of a feeling was there. But like after doing Mirror, the feeling is that I have to really push myself to get to a place that is almost dangerous, like that is so authentic and real and intimate. And hopefully, like, he is able to capture some kind of a feeling or an essence of a feeling or something, and I have to be courageous enough to do that, and obviously then execute it. Because if I don't reach that place mentally in my head, there is no chance that it's going to get executed anyway. I mean, there is a chance I might reach it mentally and not be able to execute it. That is also there, of course, and you're able to execute it at different levels, at varying levels, of course. But I think that it's slightly dangerous, I think that is very interesting for me, because then only you're pushing and going into another kind of an unknown territory, or a slightly not necessarily in your comfort zone. Many times, Mirror ke time, I was also like, Pata nahi, this is too much. Should we do this? Like, I don't know if this is okay. But it was also very exciting. It was exciting and it was risky, and that was the fun.
Hard relate to that. I think when also for most of your career, when you've been doing commission projects, you're becoming the voice for other people. And there's, be it advertising, be it music videos, you're always fulfilling so many objectives that are external to you. And it's a really enjoyable process. But a part of that also means that you have to hold yourself back. You cannot really go full force with, this is what I can create, this is what my voice is, because it's a different kind of collaboration. And I think that's why making both the short films has been such a liberating process, because it's been a process of self-discovery, of being like, oh, okay, I guess I do have a style, and I guess this is what it is. These are the themes that pour out of me. These are the nuances that I like to explore. So almost through these projects, I am learning more about myself, my instincts, and my subconscious, which is exciting. And in terms of what I'll take moving forward from my experience working on Nocturnal Burger, I think Nocturnal Burger has been the closest I've come so far, which is still a very far, a long way away from, realizing my full potential, but it's the closest I've come to showing who I really am as a filmmaker. And one of the things that I did as part of this process was challenge myself in the writing, in that usually a short film has like one protagonist, because that's what the canvas allows you to do. But I really wanted to explore the idea of having multiple protagonists with contradicting point of views, and try to see how I can chart out their graph within the container of a short film. And within that, work with ideas of psychology and escapism and fantasy and surrealism, really as it relates to repression. And these were all decisions that I was like, I'm doing this. Nobody's going to, catch on to this, and it's not going to make any sense. This moment of telepathic, empathetic connection that I want to portray in this look. And I realized that the audience, they've caught onto every single thing. And it gave me unbridled joy and confidence moving forward to be less afraid in really pushing the boundaries of what you really want to create, and leading with the uniqueness of your subjective experiences. So that's what I'll take forward.
That's lovely. It was such a pleasure to have all of you. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on the nominations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
having
much,
us.
Poulomi.
Thank you, Poulomi.
Lovely conversation. Lovely
Yeah.
conversation
Bye.
with all of you
Bye.
guys. Thank you so much.